What is up, guys? So now that The Last of Us Part 2 has been patched with a 60 FPS mode, I wanted to throw the game on my LG C1, my brand new 48-inch LG C1, and give it a try and see how it looks. And I gotta say, it looks absolutely stunning. It looks absolutely stunning, and it's so much smoother at 60 FPS now on the PlayStation 5. What a wonderful, wonderful looking game.
You'll be fine.
This is.
It's too high.
Come on.
Just imagine what Naughty Dog will be able to do with the PlayStation 5.
Hey, eyes on me. Abby, stop looking down.
This is running an H-Gig.
Owen, do we have to go back this way?
Color 50.
Consider it an opportunity to work on your fears.
How about I work my foot up your ass?
Abby, stop flirting.
Warm 50. And obviously because we're in HDR, the OLED backlight is 100, the contrast is 100. It's accurate, it's sharp, it's precise. And yes, in 48 inches, the pixel density is better than my previous 55-inch C1, so it looks clearer. But I really do feel like the Alpha 9 Gen 4 processor does a better job with sharpness too than the Gen 3 from the C10.
Holy shit. It's a fucking city.
Everything just looks more refined with the Gen 4 processor on the C1. Even in 1440p like we see here.
Have you told anyone else?
Wanted you to see it first.
And obviously the C1 and its processor does a great job upscaling to 4K here.
Patrol route from town to an outpost.
I'm also using Game Optimizer mode
We can figure it out.
on the C1, the brand new Game Optimizer mode.
Okay.
And I have it set to standard.
Assuming he's in there.
And obviously because the PlayStation 5 does not have VRR yet, which is ridiculous, I have VRR G-Sync turned off. But you really don't need it because this game is locked at 60 FPS with the new patch, so it runs really, really nice, really smooth.
I'm sure they'll be
I can show you my settings really quick.
Well, then we make them.
Come over to picture, so it's in HDR select mode, Game Optimizer user, aspect ratio is original. You go to advanced settings. The brightness, 100 OLED pixel brightness, 100 contrast, 50 screen brightness, HDR tone mapping is in H-Gig. This is DTM, dynamic tone mapping, H-Gig, off, H-Gig, dynamic tone mapping. Makes the whole screen brighter, might be appealing to some, but for this game I think H-Gig looks better, looks more natural.
Should I say congrats?
So I stay with H-Gig.
They're going to want to turn back.
Peak brightness is high, black level is auto, motion eye care is off. Color, 50 color depth, tint 0. Color gamut auto detect, that's what you want. Clarity, sharpness is 0, super resolution is off. The rest of these settings are grayed out. And then I have reduced blue light on because for whatever reason when I'm recording gameplay from my OLED panels with my GoPro camera, it really makes it look overly blue. So when I put reduced blue light on the C1, it makes it look a little bit more natural through my GoPro camera. And we go down to game opt. So AI service, all these settings are off. AI brightness, AI sound pro, that stuff's all off. I don't want the TV to be messing with my settings. Then game optimizer, like I told you, it's on. Now you see here VRR, you can get the pointer, VRR G-Sync, NVIDIA G-Sync, that's off because the PS5 does not support VRR yet, which I cannot believe that it does not support VRR yet. So game genre is standard. You can choose from FPS, RPG, RTS. So if you want a little bit more brightness from H-Gig, a lot of people complain about H-Gig being a little bit too dark. If you want a little more brightness, then you can select first-person shooter mode, which is, you know, The Last of Us Part 2 is a third-person shooter, but it kind of comes off like a first-person shooter sometimes. You're aiming a lot, you're picking out targets a lot. So if you want a little bit more clarity, you want a little bit more visibility in those dark areas, watch what happens when you pick FPS mode. See the screen? It just brightens up a little bit. It doesn't over brighten like dynamic tone mapping can sometimes do, but it just brightens up the screen a little bit so that you can pick out your targets a little bit more easily. I prefer standard mode, I think it looks better, but again, if you wanted to have a little more visibility, first person mode, RPG mode, and RTS mode. So what it's doing is when you pick a certain mode like FPS, it changes the black stabilizer and white stabilizer values. So on standard they are 10, which is like a default setting. When you go to FPS mode, you'll see that they changed to 13 here and 13 here. So that's why when you have black stabilizer set higher, it becomes a little bit more visible. See how bright the screen is getting? You can go up to 20. And all the way down to, I think it's 1 or 0. Is it 1? Okay, it's 0. Look at how crushed the detail is. You don't want to do that. 10, like I said, is the default value. So I just leave it at standard. We have 10 and 10. Going down, OLED Motion Pro, which is black frame insertion. I have that off. Reduce blue light is already engaged. I told you about that. And then prevent input delay or input lag. You can choose standard or boost. So because The Last of Us Part 2 is a 60 FPS game, I chose boost. And by choosing boost, what it does is it allows the C1 to interpret the 60 Hz signal from the PlayStation 5 as if it were a 120 Hz signal. And by doing that, you are able to decrease your input lag by a few milliseconds. So I think standard input lag is on a 4K or 1440p 60 FPS game is somewhere around 11 or 12 milliseconds or so. By choosing boost, you can get it somewhere to around 8 or 9 milliseconds. So you can improve it a good 3 or 4 milliseconds. It probably wouldn't be noticeable to the user, but hey, you know, the option's there, you might as well use it. It's always a good thing to get your input lag lower. AI game sound is engaged, and like I said, VRR G-Sync and FreeSync Premium are off because the PlayStation 5 is not VRR capable. And then because VRR is disengaged, you cannot use fine-tune dark areas. And the fine-tune dark areas you see here in the right up in the corner. Look at this. Oh, come on. It just says adjust the brightness of the dark part of the game screen to make it more visible while input related setting is turned on. So if you have a little bit of black level rays when you're playing in VRR and HDR, you can adjust this fine-tune dark areas to try to mitigate some of that black level rays. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much all the settings. And I just wanted to share how absolutely glorious this game looks on the C1. I really do think it is a marked improvement over the C10. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it's night and day difference, it's certainly not. But going to a 48-inch screen size, I would highly recommend if you're using this TV, you know, if you're sitting close to it or using it as a PC monitor, your proximity is such that you're, you know, only like 2, 3, 4 feet from the screen. Going with a 48-inch screen size is better because you get that pixel density, you get a little bit of additional clarity. Oh, I missed the jump. And you get the benefit of the brand new processor, the Alpha 9 Gen 4, which again does improve crispiness a little bit.
Look out.
Of that, I'm pretty certain. That was one of the first things I noticed. Again, not going to blow your socks off, but it is there. And having access to the all-new Game Optimizer feature is a good way to keep your game accurate in HGig mode, but also compensate for sometimes the dim screen that you get from HGig. Like I said, Game Optimizer does allow you to kind of fine-tune or adjust those dark and bright areas so that you have better visibility when HGig is engaged. So yeah, guys, that's all I really wanted to share today. Hopefully you have found this video helpful. If you have, please leave a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you can, and I will see you guys soon with more LG C1 content. Later.